Hi, my name is Leah Jarnigan, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Associate Vice President for Student Affairs at Cal State Fullerton. I've been on this campus for 17 years, spent 6 years prior to this at another Cal State campus in San Diego. So I've been in the profession a little over 20 years, and I understand all of you are grad students and in your preparation program. Congratulations on choosing the best profession in the world, in my opinion. And it's my honor to be able to talk with you a little bit today about ethics and the value of ethics, which really in my mind go to the core of who you are as a professional. In terms of what brought me into the profession and what keeps me engaged in the field, my experience, like maybe many of you, but I know certainly many of my colleagues, is that I found the profession by accident. Most of us do not have the typical undergraduate experience, or at least the myth of what that is, that we're there for 4 years, we're highly involved, we fall in love with the profession, we go right into grad school and move on into the field. And some of you may have done that, and good for you, congratulations. But many of us actually come a much more circuitous route, and that certainly was my experience as well. But it plays into my ethics and my values and how I make decisions. And that is, my journey was a 10-year, was on the decade plan, journey to finish my undergraduate education. I had to fight for it. I had to be rather scrappy, which I think is, if it were a strength on StrengthsFinder, that would be me. It's never give up. It's perseverance. It's resilience no matter what. It's knowing why you want what you want and being willing to do what it takes to achieve it. And so after completing my undergraduate degree and finding student affairs literally in the last couple of months at Cal State San Marcos, where I'm a member of the first graduating class, I realized that I had a journey ahead of me to get into this field. And so I was fortunate enough to have an opportunity to get an administrative position at Cal State San Marcos, work for my alma mater, work to serve the students who I had just been a part of, and go to grad school at the same time, which took me 4 years. So that's how I came into the profession. It was actually an academic college dean, a College of Ed dean, who hired me as an admin and said, I know you're not going to stay very long, but I will help you find what you love. And that's exactly what happened. What keeps me engaged in the field is that no 2 days are the same. That some days are very, very, very difficult and very painful and tug at my spirit, but many more days are beautiful and inspiring and involve engaging with people, both students and my colleagues, that remind me just how lucky I am to do what I do, how much privilege I have to come to work at a university every day. And when I'm sitting here at my desk and feeling a little sorry for myself because I have to work on a tough Title IX case, or I have to write a report that I don't feel like writing, or I have to resolve yet another budget problem, I try to force myself, step outside my office, go downstairs, walk across the quad, look at the students, and it immediately reminds me why I do what I do. I will also say professional involvement is huge. Being a member of NASPA and an active member in various leadership roles over the last 15 or so years has been amazingly rewarding and has kept me re-energized. The next question that your instructor would like me to talk about is an ethical framework. What ethical framework do I use, and how do my personal values influence this? This harkens back to my earlier reference about my undergraduate degree journey of 10 years, why that has helped shape my ethics. I firmly believe that every student, no matter how prepared or underprepared, no matter how resourced or under-resourced, no matter how focused or potentially lost that they might be, like I was, 8 years in community colleges trying to figure out why I was going to college and what it meant as a first-gen student, the youngest of 4, raised by a single mom. There's got to be easier things to do than continuing to take one class a semester for what felt like my lifetime. Knowing that every single student who has the desire, who has the slightest amount of interest, has the right to expect us to be fully in their corner, has shaped my ethical framework. We absolutely must come from a place of do no harm. And that means make no assumptions, make no early judgments. And when students make mistakes, when they lose their focus, when they violate our policies, when they drop out and come back 2 semesters later, should be able to expect us to still be there for them. Being an educator doesn't mean having restrictions on what we are willing to do to help our students when they show up asking for the help. And so that has really guided the way I do my work. First and foremost, when I consider making a major shift in a department, maybe getting rid of a program that we have already in place or changing a policy, I have to think about how will this impact the students? Have we asked them whether there's a need for change? Have we asked them how the potential change will affect them? Have we thought about that there may be students who have spent the last 5 years of their lives invested in that particular program who would be heartbroken to see it tossed aside, seemingly without any concern for whether it was important to them or not? And so I absolutely, from my own experience of struggling to find my way through the educational system, as well as moments where people in those community colleges and in my four-year institution when I finally transferred, when they stepped up and helped me, from both my positive and negative experiences has come a very strong value for not only do no harm, but students first. And you can put a period at the end of that sentence. Many years ago, the NASPA National Conference, I believe it was in Denver, the theme of that conference was students first. And then there was a period. We sometimes can lose sight of that. And particularly the higher you go up in administration and the more complex your issues become and the more challenges that are put upon you to do as much as you possibly can with the resources that you have, it's easy to forget these are human lives that we're impacting. So students first. That is absolutely my framework. In terms of what advice do I have for you as you move into the field, I'm so excited for you. You have no idea what's ahead of you. It actually gives me a little bit of chicken skin to even think about it. Don't lose yourself. The best educator you can be is an educator who knows yourself more than you know anyone or anything else. Know what matters to you. Know what you're passionate about, and more importantly, know why. Be able to articulate that and use that self-knowledge as you make choices about institutions you want to be employed for, positions that you're interested in taking on. It is a disservice to this profession when you take a promotional offered to you simply because you want to make that supervisor or that colleague who believed in you happy. It's a disservice if you don't know how you care about that new opportunity and what you can bring to it. Institutions are different. I work in the public four-year CSU system for my entire career for a reason, because I am these students, because I am that student that had 3 semesters of remedial or developmental math and still, despite all those odds, made it, because every one of our students deserves to have dedicated, self-informed, self-aware, emotionally intelligent educators to work with them. So first and foremost, know yourself. And the more you know yourself and the more you stay true to that, then the decisions that you make will be connected to your ethics, to your value system. They'll be grounded. In other words, you will treat others the way you want to be treated. And that's a critical component, I believe, of being an ethical leader. The last question here is, what has guided my decision making over the years? I've referenced this a little bit, but let me go into that a little bit more. As you move through your career, there will be moments where it will feel very dangerous and perhaps make you feel vulnerable to your core to say to someone that you're reporting to, a leadership position in your university or your college, that you disagree, that you believe that the decision that's being made is not in the best interest of students, and that it indeed may actually have a negative outcome for our students. I've had a few of these moments through my career. One that I can think of right off the top of my head is when I was an assistant dean in a college, and my dean was driven by a need to fill our residency, 100% occupancy, in a graduate housing environment. And we were struggling with that, and a decision was made to allow both some undergraduates as well as some visiting scholars to live in and among the graduate students who were there. I felt this was a bad idea, primarily based on the different developmental levels that the students were at. And I felt that the visiting scholar, while here with us for a semester, didn't have the same investment in following our community guidelines as perhaps a student would. He or she, coming from a different environment, being here a short period of time and leaving, may not necessarily be impacted in the same way by community guidelines that are not adhered to as, say, a student was, who stands to lose their opportunity to live there as well as perhaps even their status as a student. I tried to tell my dean. I did not do it very well, and indeed we did fill that center, and indeed we did have a very unpleasant situation between the visiting scholar and an undergraduate student. And it became violent. And it was an impact on the entire community there. I learned so much from that moment that you have a duty and a responsibility. If your framework is students first, if your framework is do no harm, and you as a student development educator know in your gut that this is a bad decision, I should have done a better job of helping my dean understand that his need to make the budget balance and my desire to have a solid occupancy that would benefit everybody there. They didn't have to be competing and different, but I should have done a better job of helping them understand why. And so I learned a lot from that particular scenario. So my advice, or not my advice, but my decision making has changed over the years. I've learned to listen to my gut a lot more. Call it intuition, call it a sense of self-knowing, call it whatever you like. I call it listening to my gut. And when I do that, when I'm quiet and I give myself a little bit of time to listen to it, I usually come to an answer that I know I believe in. And I'm now better at also articulating that. It does not mean I always get my way. So please know as you move through this profession that no matter how ethical you are, there will be scenarios where you will not be on the winning end of a disagreement, and that's okay. Just make sure that you do your job, be that student advocate, be that university official, and do your best every day to balance that and do right by your students. I wish you all very, very, very best wishes as you move on in your graduate program. And if you'd ever like to connect over coffee, let me know. Thank you so much.